Chapter 14. You remember Abram and Lot? Here we go. Uh, Abram rescues Lot. About this time, war broke out in the region. King Anthraphel of Babylonia, King Arioch of Eleazar, King Chedorlaomer of Elam, and King Tidal of Goliam fought against King Bera of Sodom, King Bersha of Gomorrah, King Shinab of Admah, King Shemeber of Zeboam, and the king of Bela, now called Zoar. The kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboam, and Bela formed an alliance and mobilized their armies in Siddim Valley. That is the valley of the Dead Sea. Been there. For 12 years, they had all been subject to King Chedorlaomer. But now, in the 13th year, they rebelled. 1 year later, Chedorlaomer and his allies arrived. They conquered the Rephates in Ashkelon, the Zutites in Ham, the Emites in the plain of Keramathim, and the Hemorites in Mount Seir, as far as El Paran at the edge of the wilderness. Then they swung around to the En Mishpat called Kiddish and destroyed the Amalekites and all the Amorites living in Hazmatamor. But now the army of the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboam, Bela, now called Zoar, prepared for battle in the battle of the Dead Sea, against King Chedorlaomer of Elam and the kings of Goliam, Babylonia, and Eleazar, 4 kings against 5. As it happened, the valley was filled with tar pits, and as the army of the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some slipped into the tar pits, while the rest escaped into the mountains. The victorious invaders then plundered Sodom and Gomorrah and began their long journey home, taking all the wealth and food with them. They also captured Lot, Abram's nephew, who lived in Sodom, and took everything he owned. One of the men, sorry, I feel like I'm too close to the screen at times. One of the men who escaped came and told Abram and the Hebrew, who was camped in the oak grove belonging to Mamre, an Amorite. Mamre and his relatives Eshcol and Aner were Abram's allies. When Abram learned that Lot has been captured, he called together the men who born into his household, 318 of them in all. He chased after Chedorlaomer's army until he caught up with them in Dan. Then he divided his men and attacked during the night from several directions. Chedorlaomer's army fled, but Abram chased them to Hobah, north of Damascus. Abram and his allies recovered everything, the goods that had been taken, Abram's nephew Lot with his possessions, and all the women and other captives. Melchizedek blesses Abram. As Abram returned from a victory over Chedorlaomer and his allies, the king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Sheba, that is the king's valley. Then Melchizedek, the king of Salem and the priest of God Most High, brought him bread and wine. Melchizedek blessed Abram with the blessings. Blessed by Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has helped you conquer your enemies. Then Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all the goods he had recovered. The king of Sodom told him, "Give back any of my people who are captured, but you may keep for yourself all the goods you have recovered." Abram replied, "I have solemnly promised the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a single thread of sandal thong from you. Otherwise you might say, I am the one who made Abram rich. All I accept is that these young men of mine have already eaten, but give a share of goods to my allies, Aner, Ashkel, and Mamre. So you think about that. He doesn't want to owe anybody anything. He doesn't want to accept gifts, any of that. That's kind of like how I live. I don't want to owe anybody anything, and it's just a weird thing with me. Like, um, never owe anybody anything, because then um, that's just what it is. So if you give someone, make sure you tell them, like, you don't have to pay me back or whatever. It's just whatever. If someone gives you something, yeah, just that's kind of how I kind of live. I know that's kind of weird, uh, I read that he gave a tenth of all the goods he had recovered. Um, that's interesting. So he also drank. It talks about bread and wine. See, in some cultures, drinking is kind of bad because it's wine, but it's in the Bible. So I don't really have much to say on that. I'm just reading the Bible. And next is on to chapter 15. We'll get there eventually. So I'm a little behind. I skipped a couple days, so I may read chapter 15 today and upload that video as well. So have a good night.